So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you our next candidate, Mr. Chun. He is a candidate for Tampines GRC. Let us welcome Mr. Chun.
Good evening, residents of Tampines. We are happy to be here to serve the residents of Tampines. We are honored because without you, the residents of Tampines will not be here. Residents of Tampines, let me start with a story of in the army that I experienced. When I first go into the army, one of the first few things I learned is to check my luggage, to check myself, all my items in the army. This is what you call the first check. The second check is what you call a buddy check. Means I will have a buddy. As a recruit, everyone will have a buddy. So this is what we call the buddy system. And then we have the third check, which is where the sergeant or the officer will follow us in and then will check us up. Why am I saying about this first check, second check, and third check? Reason is very simple. I'm sure all of you have heard of the government trying to do self-check. Let us think, whether is it really that effective? Yes. Maybe we first have to check ourselves, yes. But later, we need a buddy to check us. We need a mirror to check ourselves. And then after that, we need the whole system, the whole mechanism to check. So I really wonder, why is it that such a simple first check, second check, third check system is something that our government is not encouraging? We, the opposition, are we really here just to oppose? We are here to be their buddy. The buddy that we will help our fellow Singaporeans. Just like when we write a letter, our first draft, we think there's no mistake. And then we have somebody to proofread for us. Why do we need somebody to proofread our letters? Very simple. Because our own eyes might not see the mistake that we make. Hope this is a good example of why we need a buddy for our government. By the way, the government do not just consist of just PAP. It consists of the mechanism. If it is possible, WP, PAP, and hopefully NSP will also be part of the government. Let me tell you another story of example. Have you heard of the olden day story of an emperor with a new clothes? The emperor prided himself so much that he need new clothes every day. Until one day he realized that he ran out of clothes. And he get all his best tailors to tailor him a new clothes. But all the tailors were lost. They have made all the necessary clothes for the emperor. And they were in trouble. I wonder whether all the tailors are the grassroots leaders. Anyway, the tailors decided to come up with a fantastic clothes, which is actually so beautiful, but is behold in the eyes of the beholder. So they convinced the emperor that this clothes is very beautiful and only he can see the beauty of the clothes. And the emperor believed, and he wore the clothes, and he decided to have a parade. And when he had a parade, all his subjects and followers say, yes, 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 it's beautiful, it's great, it's lovely, fantastic. Everyone say the same thing until the emperor passed by a boy above a tree. And the boy was quite shocked. So he decided to ask a question. Hey, why is everybody saying the clothes is fantastic when I cannot see anything? And that's, we hope, is not a story that is going to repeat in Singapore politics. My experience as a volunteer in various social organizations allows me to see the various sufferings of Singaporeans. One is RSVP, the retired senior citizens. When I was an IT trainer, I had to train them for free, which is very good. They can learn. Some managed to pick up and managed to even take over my position as a trainer. One of them is Mr. Koh Kok Pin. He's a retired citizen, but he faces a problem. He has a master's degree, but he could not get fantastic jobs anymore. His Mandarin is very good. Since he could not get a fantastic job, he decided also to be like me, a volunteer to train all the other senior citizens. And he also asked me, why is it that scholarships are not from the foreigner, from their own government, but it is from the Singapore government? Is it true? Because when he studied for his master's, he actually got a scholarship too. So is it really true that our Singapore government is giving out a lot of scholarship to foreigners? Are the money from Singapore taxpayers? If it is true, why is it so? Shouldn't Singapore government just give scholarship only to Singaporeans? Another important topic is about the property market. Besides knowing that the property prices goes up, what is the cause of the property prices go up? I'm sure all of you will know it's a matter of demand and supply. When you have a lot of people coming to Singapore to stay, naturally the property prices will go up if the demand of the property is not met. But there is also one very curious question. Why is it that our neighbors are able to protect the locals from property speculation? For example, Australia, or nearer to us, Indonesia, or nearer Malaysia. I'm sure all of you know about the rules and regulations for foreigners to buy properties in their country. Generally, property prices have two segments. One is the primary segment, and the other one is the secondary segment. The primary segment is basically those that is new. And the secondary segment is those that is a resale market. Why is it that there is no law protecting locals? Australia has a very popular law saying that when foreigners buy property in Australia, they can only resell it to the local Australians. Those countries protect their local markets. But in Singapore, did we protect the local markets? Should the private property prices affect the HDB property prices? Please continue to support us by voting for NSP or by volunteering for NSP. After you vote for us, we need more volunteers because we have unfair competition. Before the last general election, I have a lot of friends who got caught by the Lehman Brothers crisis. I was not caught, but I was curious to know why is it so. So I followed them. Because I followed them, I started to learn to be a volunteer in the opposition party. The Lehman Brothers crisis is the start of my volunteerism in the opposition party. Because we asked, why are the banks and why is MAS not stopping mini bonds from being sold in Singapore? And it's being a cover-up. Do you think that we can be manipulated by foreign investments? Please treat our neighbors in Tampines as brothers and sisters of Tampines. If you treat our brothers and sisters in Tampines well, you can listen to their problems. Listen to your fellow brothers and sisters in Tampines and not just listen to the media, because the media can choose what to show and what not to show. Understand the real problems of your neighbors, those who have wheelchair. During my walkabouts, I've seen a lot of old folks. I've also seen a mother and a daughter studying in a hawker center for breakfast. So I asked the mother, why do you prefer to study? Why do your daughter prefer to study in the hawker center and have breakfast at the same time? Is it really that stressful? Do you know something? It is so stressful that the mother and the daughter don't even know how to answer me. But isn't it not obvious? Can we look at the obvious? Don't be blinded. Who will you believe? Your neighbors or the media? I give you another example of a one-sided view. Our dear Teo Chee Hean said in his rally speech that the opposition parties is a cause of division in Singapore. Do you think it's true? Please think again. If there is no problem, will there be an opposition? Therefore, I am very sure that more parliamentary acts are being passed down unfairly, simply because there is only a one-party rule. But if there are other alternative opinions, can we think better? For example, a father likes to turn right and a mother likes to turn left. Who should we listen to? The child will come and say, okay, I think we follow father's way. Or the child will say, okay, we follow the mother's way. And then you have consensus. And then the father and the mother and the child can go one direction. Because if not, there will be division. The future of Singapore depends on a multi-combination of ideas, not only a one-way traffic. Look at the trend yourself. You do not need to be a PhD student or a master student to understand some common sense. Just like inflation. How do you calculate inflation? Do you need to be an economics student in order to calculate inflation? No, you do not need to. All you need to do is ask yourself, all those items that you have been buying for your own household items, how much is the price that increased from January of 2014 to December of 2014? And then you get the answer for that year. It's that simple. If you don't buy a car, obviously you're not affected. When we talk about car, we have to also differentiate between luxury cars and those cars that are used by taxi drivers, commercial vehicles for contractors, renovators, etc. We also have another unfair competition from our neighbors. If our price of a car is so expensive, our commercial vehicle price is so expensive, then how do we compete with our neighbors? It's ridiculous. Overcrowding is definitely an important thing that we need to take note of, because it affects the space that we have. It affects the property price. It affects our pay. When there are too many competitors for our pay will drop. When there are too many people competing for the same goods, then the cost of goods will go up. If there are too many people competing for our properties, the property prices will go up. We must also understand that property in Singapore is not like properties in UK, America, or Malaysia. We in Singapore, in certain aspects, can be like London, can be like New York, can be like KL. But we need to be very realistic. Just simply because of the land size, we cannot be like UK. We cannot be like New York. We cannot be like KL. In UK, people travel from Birmingham to London to work. People on the outskirts of London are willing to travel for 2 hours or more per day, even 4 hours to and fro, just to go to London to work. Do Singaporeans want to stay in Pahang or some rural places in Malaysia just to travel to Singapore to work? So bear this in mind. We in Singapore are very small. We are not like London. We are not like New York. We need to live, work in Singapore. And we want to retire in Singapore, not in other countries. Thank you, my residents of Tampines.